What's going on, guys? Today we are fishing a brand new lake. I've got all afternoon to figure this lake out. I've never put my boat in it before, but I thought I'd bring you guys along for the ride, see if we can figure out where to catch some walleyes, maybe some crappies. And it's a nice, a little bit quieter lake. It's Memorial Day weekend, middle of spring. Fish should be up in the weeds. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna cruise around and see if we can find the right kind of weeds that are gonna hold fish. And this is typically the first thing I do whenever I hit any body of water I haven't been on. I'll pre-scout, which I'll leave a video down below about some apps that you can use to pre-scout online and find structure and mark some spots. But once I've pre-scouted, I go to the lake and I'm gonna go actually to the structure that I found, and I'm gonna start checking for weeds. Kind of find where that weed line starts roughly. You can get a pretty good idea pretty quickly just by driving the boat around and using your electronics where that weed line kind of stops. In this lake, it's pretty stained, so I'm guessing it's going to be in that 6 to 10 foot range somewhere. Probably close to 8 feet is my guess. And what you're looking for is isolated weed patches and then anomalies of like deeper weed patches, and especially thicker weeds in these stained lakes. If you can find thick weeds a little bit deeper than most of the other places, it's almost surely gonna have fish. So we're gonna start the big motor up. We're gonna start looking for some of that stuff and see what we can find. And then once we find some spots, we'll actually mark them on the map, and then we'll actually go back and start fishing these. Let's start the big motor up, see if we can find some fish. Now I've got my map split into 3 different pieces right now. I've got my map here on the left, then I've got my sonar, and then my live scope. So I can turn the live scope if I want to check to the left or right for weeds or whatever. Some guys use side imaging, that would work too for this. Now I'm starting here on what looks like a hard bottom underwater point. And I've used my Omnia app to find the structure ahead of time. And I've used the bottom hardness mapping on there. And I'm gonna leave a link below for the Omnia app because it's absolutely awesome. And as you can see here, there's no weeds on top of this and it shows hard bottom. So it was absolutely right on. And I'm guessing there's some rock up on here as well. This would be a good place to start for, like, say smallmouth if we wanted to fish smallmouth. All right, here's exactly what we're looking for. I'm gonna mark that. That's a nice clump of weeds in like 7-8 feet of water right there. And they're a lot taller than what I've been seeing, and they're right on the tip of this structure too. So that's a money spot right there. We'll definitely come back to that. Big weed bed at 9 feet of water. Nice green tall weeds. This is looking like really fishy. It's right on the inside bend where this point comes out and back in. Lots of good thick weeds out in deeper water. I can see the tops of some of them. They're nice and green. That is really good looking stuff. All right, guys, I cruised into a bay. I came around a point and into this bay. And right along here, it's all hard bottom. That whole point is hard bottom. There's some trees in the water. There's some docks. So this could be a really good area for crappies and smallmouth. All right, guys, we cruised out of that good looking bay, and there's a nice rock point coming out of it too. Then it's been featureless for a while, but I just found a really nice isolated weed bed in 8-9 feet that looks absolutely sweet. So it's been about an hour of driving around marking spots, and I think it's about time to fish here. I just marked a couple more scattered weed beds around this big one, and that's I think where I'm gonna start for walleyes, is right in that kind of isolated bigger patch of weeds. And then we'll probably move back to that bay and do some shoreline stuff. Stay out of the wind here for a little bit. Hopefully the wind lays down, we can go fish that main lake structure I looked at first. But we're gonna go fish that weed bed, probably throw some jigs, maybe slip bobber it, we'll see. But let's go fishing. There's a fish. Fish on. Feels nice. Feels really nice, actually. First fish of the day. This is exactly why I scout out these weed beds ahead of time, because I can get on fish right away. Instead of looking around, dinking around, I can actually just go fish where I know there's going to be fish now. Looks like we got a pike. Like I said, if you're fishing where there's weeds, you're bound to catch fish in a lake like this. Let that guy go. That's a start. They said 5 to 10. This is more like 15 to 20 right now. All right, guys, we're gonna go back to that bay. It's just getting too windy out here. All right, guys, it's a lot nicer back here. A lot nicer. Hard bottom. I'm guessing there's smallies around. So I'm just gonna throw a little Ned rig with a goby. Billy Rub Baits just came out with some gobies and they look really sweet. So I'm just gonna drag these around on this rock up shallow and see if I can get a bite. Oh, there's one. There's one. Decent smallie. Actually real nice. There we go. Oh, bait popped out. There. Nice chunky smallie. Not exactly what I came here for, but I think I found a bunch of them back in this bay. So see if we can get a couple more and at least catch some fish here. Wind is dying down and actually it's kind of switching directions a little bit, so might be able to go back out of this bay once we're done here and target some more of those weeds. See if we can find some walleyes, but it's kind of a nice little diversion here. There's one. Way up shallow. Pretty good one too. Oh yeah. Another nice chunker. Really solid fish. I'm actually impressed with the size of the smallies here. I've never heard of this as a smallmouth lake, but there seems to be quite a few. I've missed a couple, caught a couple. They're nice, solid, really chunky fish, so that's cool. That's the bait I was using right there. That's the new Billy Rub Goby. It's got some pretty sweet looking action to it. It's got those side fins, that tail fin. The smallies are liking it, so. There's smallie. Seems like this bay is full of smallies. So we're gonna christen it Smallmouth Bay, because I have no idea what the actual name of it is, but got some decent fish in it. They're all like cookie cutter too. Bunch of like 2-pounders. Not a bad fish. Fun to catch, but we want to get some walleyes too. So the wind's dying down. We're gonna go back out on some of these weed beds that we found earlier and see if we can't pull a walleye or two off. But so far we got a pike out there right away, but it just got too windy. Found some smallies, so we're doing all right. We're doing all right. Love exploring. All right, guys, I moved back to that big weed bed I found. I'm just gonna drift through it, cast a jig and a minnow along the edge. Hopefully we get one here. There's one. There's a fish. Feels like a walleye. Yep, there we go. First walleye. All right. Yeah, nice one too. Right on this weed bed that I found earlier where I caught the pike. Same exact spot. Look at that. On the jig and minnow. Sweet. Success. We got our walleye. That's always the trickiest one to find, it seems like. But that's a nice eater right there, about a 16-incher. Not a bad fish at all. Perfect. I'm gonna throw a slip bobber out the back here just for a little bit. Since I caught a walleye, a lot of times this time of year, if there's one, there'll be more. So, like I said, that weed line is in about 8 feet of water here, and I'm gonna set it back right to the weed line. My rod's 7 feet long, so I'm putting my bobber stop right at the tip of the rod. That should put this about a foot off the bottom, off the back of the boat here. All right. We got the slip float out the back. I'm gonna keep jigging this little weed bed here. Again, this is a pretty isolated weed bed. There's really nothing on either side of it I can pretty much cast. There's another. Oh, I lost him. Oh, shoot. Like I said, I can pretty much cast to the whole weed bed from one spot here. That felt like a walleye bite too. Oh, slip bobber going down. Got him. Hey, another walleye. That's exactly why I dropped the old slip float. That one's not quite a keeper, but they're definitely here. Pretty little fish. He's probably 14 inches, maybe 13, something like that. But there'll be more. See that right there? That's about as green of a weed as you can get, and that's why these fish are here. They love that green cabbage. That is why they're here. Slip bobber down. Got him. Got him. Look at that, another walleye. It's a little guy. The right species. Well, at that moment, even though I didn't realize it, my battery had died and my audio was out. Luckily, there wasn't a whole lot more of the story to tell here that day. I caught one more keeper on that weed bed, fished a couple more weed beds, and then finally caught my last keeper on another really nice isolated patch of those green weeds, just like the one I had been fishing. And the moral of the story, guys, is if I hadn't spent the time for that hour driving around and marking those high percentage spots, it would have taken me so much longer to figure this lake out. So next time you go to a new lake, I highly recommend doing it that way. Just number one, pre-scout on your computer. Number two, go to those spots you pre-scouted with the electronics. Mark those exact locations where those fish are going to be at, depending on the species and time of year. And then number three, fish through those spots. And if you don't catch anything, redo your game plan and start it over again. Drive around some more, look for some different cover structure, whatever, and then eventually you're going to find fish that way. So hopefully you found this video helpful and enjoyed it. I'm going to leave another one right here, guys. Thanks for watching. Get hooked up.